Narrating Nick Fuentes, Part 3, The End of Illusion. Rain recognition. The final stage of political maturity is recognizing abuse without accepting its euphemisms. When citizens learn to identify warm rain from what it is, legitimacy collapses faster than ideology can repair it. Reality does not arrive gently, it arrives as a sequence of pills, each harder to swallow than the last. Things are broken, they have been broken a long time, and no simple fix exists. Maturity begins only after the pills are swallowed whole. Once illusion fails, the only remaining question is whether societies will choose redesign or decay. Denial prolongs comfort but accelerates collapse. Clarity shortens comfort but opens the possibility of renewal. Sanity, power, and the romance of destruction. On governance without mystique, structured madness, and the reverse altruism of liberal empire. Sanity is not a moral category, it is a structural one. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. Do not remove the helmet. Demystified rule. Axioms of governance as banal art. Governing is not in its essence a mystical, heroic vocation. It is a job defined by constraints, incentives, and bounded responsibilities, much like the leadership of large firms or complex organizations. The terror people feel towards concentrated authority often arises from romantic projections rather than empirical observation. Societies already entrust vast power to executives without demanding metaphysical guarantees of virtue. No board appoints a CEO on the basis that he will not poison the product. That possibility is too trivial to structure selections around. Instead, systems assume a baseline of sanity and design outsight and oversight around performance incentives and replacements. Public fear of strong governance often sets the bar absurdly low. Not evil rather than competent. This reveals a population trained to think in moral melodrama rather than operational reality. Effective systems assume ordinary human vices and compensate structurally rather than hoping for saints. Wartime and peacetime authority. The wartime executive, founding, reform, or regime transition are inherently wartime conditions. They require leaders who can tolerate conflict, invalidate paperwork, and override inherited procedures. The skills required are decisiveness, initiative, and the capacity to destroy obsolete structures. Once stability is achieved, stewardship replaces conquest. The peacetime leader optimizes, perverses, and preserves and refines rather than redefines, confusing these roles, placing stewards in founding moments. Guarantees stagnation masquerading as prudence. Many failures of reform are not ideological but temperamental. Leaders selected for smooth operation are asked to perform radical transformations. The result is endless consultation, symbolic disruption, and fear of irrevocable acts. Sanity in governance is not a personality trait but a product of boundaries. Clear missions, limited domains, and measurable outcomes tether decision makers to reality. When scope is finite, behavior stabilizes. The more unlimited the mandate, the more stochastic the outcomes. Governments that claim responsibility for everything, justice, equality, health, meaning, safety, redemption, inviolably generate incoherent and extreme actions. Madness emerges not from individuals, but from unbounded mission space. Large-scale catastrophes are rarely the work of singular villains. They arise when sensible, decent, team-oriented people operate within insane incentive systems. The structure scripts behavior long before intention enters the scene. The structure scripts behavior long before intention enters the scene. Distributed insanity. Modern disasters occur through committee, compliance, and consensus. No one decides to go mad. Everyone follows procedure. Responsibility dissolves into process, and the outcome appears accidental despite being structurally inevitable. When systems reward risks without ownership of consequence, they drift towards danger. The analogy to hazardous research is exact. Incentives favor prestige and advancement, while downside costs are externalized onto populations who did not consent. Unlike corporations, governments rarely fail cleanly. They expand into failure, justify it morally, and persist indefinitely. Without profit and loss, discipline, or existential threat, correction arrives only through collapse or replacement. Mission drift and the messianic statecraft, the lost mission. Once the basic purpose of government becomes unclear, every issue becomes eligible for intervention. What was once protection and order metastasizes into salvation and moral instruction. Governance adopts theological overtones without theological humility. From the Republic's early days, elites have been tempted to export ideology as destiny. This impulse precedes modern media and technology. It is woven into the culture's self-conception as redeemer rather than neighbor. Foreign causes offer emotional intensity without domestic accountability. They allow moral expression divorced from repair. Enthusiasm replaces responsibility, and sympathy substitutes for stewardship. Liberal imperialism always presents itself as care. It speaks the language of liberation while exercising domination. Sincerity is real, the individual level, but irrelevant as a systemic level where outcomes, not intentions, rule. There exists a voyeuristic impulse in foreign interventions, conflict as spectacle, revolution as drama, distance and anesthetizes responsibility, allowing horror to be consumed as narrative rather than experienced as consequence. Modern empires underestimate their own influence. Words alone delegitimize a regime. Blessing and opposition can destabilize entire societies. While such power is exercised casually, devastation follows even without troops. Good intentions do not excuse catastrophic ignorance. The first rule of intervention is knowing when not to act. Removing the helmet kills the patient. Removing sovereignty kills the state. A true ethic of care would produce remorse, reform, and restraint after disaster. Instead, modern interventionism changes the channel. Failure is metabolized as unfortunate noise rather than moral indictments. Because costs are borne elsewhere, systems never internalize error without pain. There is no learning without learning. Intervention repeats itself under new slogans and new victims. Imported destruction. Thanks. The same moral romantic logic used abroad eventually returns home. Policies framed as liberation, defunding order, dismantling authority, replicate foreign chaos domestically. Distance collapses, consequences arrive. Those who celebrate disruption rarely inhabit its aftermath. Protected by geography, class, and institutional installations, they mistake absence of personal harm for proof of success. Thriving communities are easier to destroy than to build. Once dismantled under moral banners, they are not easily restored. The ruins testify not to malice, but to recklessness armed with righteousness. The most dangerous power is power that does not know itself. Systems that insist they are only caring, only helping, only supporting are blind to the force they exert. The blindness amplifies harm. Ideological fashion can move populations as effectively as armies. When elites align around a cause, others follow not from coercion, but form status gravity. When elites align around a cause, others follow not from coercion, but from status gravity. Choice dissolves into imitation. True responsibility requires tracking outcomes across time. When systems sever cause from effect, power becomes deranged. Action continues precisely because accountability never arrives. Effective rule requires abandoning romance, both tyrannical fantasies and humanitarian melodrama. States must be judged by what they preserve, not what they proclaim. The central problem of governance is not finding better people, but building better structures. Virtue without constraint fails. Constraint without virtue survives. When sincerity and devastation coexist, sincerity is no longer a defense. The future belongs either to systems that learn limits or to chaos that enforces them. Axioms of democratic ambiguity in the hidden third form on populism, meritocracy, monarchy, and the long reign of the pyramid. For forms of government, let fools contest whatever governs best is best. Democracy is a word of praise, not a description. The tongue of Mordor must be unlearned before thought can begin. The word democracy survives only by concealing a contradiction. It names two distinct and often hostile realities, populism and meritocracy, while pretending they are one. Once the word is split, its rhetorical power collapses and each half can be evaluated without moral fog. Every sincere believer in democracy believes one half of it is virtuous and the other corrupt. Some praise populism and despise meritocracy. Others praise meritocracy and fear populism. The apparent consensus around democracy masks a permanent civil war inside the concept itself. Political clarity begins not with reform, but with vocabulary control. When a single word is allowed to bless incompatible things, it functions as an ideological shield. To defeat such a concept, one must first refuse to pronounce it. Populism in its literal form means politicians rule the state by appealing to mass sentiment. Its strength is emotional legitimacy, its weakness is operational incompetence. It mobilizes crowds but cannot sustain administrations without degenerating into patronage, corruption, and spectacle. Meritocracy means governance by credentialed elites insulated from popular pressure. Its strength is technical capacity, its weakness is legitimacy. It governs efficiently until it forgets whom it governs, at which point it hardens into oligarchy cloaked in expertise. Modern regimes oscillate endlessly between populist chaos and meritocratic arrogance. Each is periodically invoked as the cure for the other. Yet neither resolve the underlying problem of authority. The oscillation produces motion without progress. Political theory pretends there are only two options, but history knows three. Monarchy ruled by a single apex is not an anomaly, but the default. For roughly 98% of recorded history, effective governance has taken pyramid form. Monarchy is not primarily a moral claim, but an organizational one. It is the shape of a pyramid. Responsibility flows upward, authority flows downward, and accountability has an aim. This structure governs every effective institution in the modern world, from corporations to militaries. What is most common is often at least visible because monarchy contradicts democratic theology. It is excluded from polite discussion despite being ubiquitous in practice. The mind is trained to reject what the eye can plainly see. All systems that must act decisively under uncertainty converge on hierarchical command. Committees deliberate, pyramids decide. Where speed, coherence, and responsibility matter, hierarchy reasserts itself regardless of ideology. In advanced states, democratic forms persist while real authority migrates elsewhere. Elections select symbols, bureaucracies govern realities. The public argues over capes while Sir Humphreys control the matador. The chief executive of a functioning organization already wields monarchical power within a defined domain. Fear of political monarchy coexists comfortably with total acceptance of corporate monarchy, revealing the fear to be a theological one rather than an empirical one. For most of Western history, democracy was considered a failure mode, not an aspiration. Classical authors treated it as unstable, cruel, and prone to self-destruction. Its modern sanctification is a recent inversion of long-standing judgments. Athenian democracy did not merely disappoint, it executed Socrates. The regime that claims to embody reason destroyed its own conscience. That outcome was not accidental but structural. The repeated return to democracy, despite its documented failures, resembles addiction more than reason. Attraction persists even as evidence accumulates that the substance corrodes the organism that consumes it. At certain stages of decay, repair becomes harder than replacement. Late systems resist incremental reform because every part is optimized to preserve itself. Paradoxically, total abandonment becomes easier than partial correction. The collapse of the Soviet Union required discarding not only leaders and institutions, but the underlying theory of man and governance. Reform failed because the theory itself was wrong. Replacement succeeded because it broke the spell. The West faces a deeper problem. Its governing theory is far older. Discarding 4 centuries of political theology is a heavier lift than discarding 80 years. There is no living alternative to imitate, only dead texts to study.